Welcome to Schmitt Tonight. The King of Jordan at the White House this afternoon as the president put on a foreign diplomacy clinic. Trump's full transparency continued today, allowing the media in to the Oval Office to ask a flood of questions with the king in the room. The president confirmed today his plan to take over Gaza once again, move the Palestinians out, give them a chance at a real life under stable Arab governments, and developing the 25-mile waterfront Gaza Strip into something more than a terrorist headquarters where indoctrinated Arabs are used as human shields for an Islamic faction that they are forced to honor at gunpoint. Here's Trump.
You've said before that the U.S. would buy Gaza, and today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy.
Well, of course, the media went berserk after he said this. They started throwing a fit, demanding answers on how that's even possible. We're just going to possess this strip of land. They forget that the status quo is having the Palestinians living in tents on top of rubble for the next 10 years. The ones calling the president crazy for this plan prefer to let 2 million people live in a bombed-out wasteland until the West sends enough aid money for Hamas to fund the next October 7th. And then inevitably, Israel comes back in and blows it all up again, because that's the status quo. So in that context, moving the Palestinians out, and out for good, doesn't really sound so crazy. The president today also laying down a red line for Hamas. The hostages are to be released by this Saturday at noon or else, something that Netanyahu mimicked and gave the exact same order later on. Trump saying the images of recently released hostages forced this response. Take a listen.
I looked at the hostages that came in, and they're emaciated. It looked like something out of the 1930s. It's an absolute disgrace. And I think they saw the way the world viewed it, and they're looking for a reason not to send more, because they're all, you take a look at that, it looks like it was a concentration camp, which essentially it was. It looks like they came out of the Holocaust.
And showed you that video there as he was speaking, obviously, to see what these people look like and just how awful it is, the savages that have done this to them. I want to show you a look at a before and after of 3 hostages in captivity for close to 500 days. Look at Eli Sharabi behind me. Just terrible. Reportedly, one man still being held has been chained to a wall for hundreds of days, living off one daily piece of pita bread. How long could you survive being chained to a wall with one piece of bread? We're dealing with animals, and the patience is ending. Here's more.
You know, I have a Saturday deadline, and I don't think they're going to make the deadline personally. I think they want to play tough guy, but we'll see how tough they are. The people that they have living are in such bad shape because they're sending the most healthy people out, because they don't want to send the least healthy people out. And there was an uproar when they saw the people from yesterday. So these people are, so I don't want to do 2, and then we do another 2 in another week, and then we do 4 in 3 weeks. No. They either have them out by Saturday at 12 o'clock or all bets are off.
Strength. It's tough to get used to after the last 4 years, but that's what it looks like. Trump wants Jordan and other Arab nations to adopt nearly 2 million indoctrinated Arabs who've been governed by a terror group for decades now. The hard truth is every Palestinian in Gaza is dangerous. They want to see the Jews exterminated from the face of the earth and the United States destroyed. The indoctrination of these people started in preschool. This is just how they think, and everybody knows this. For decades, they've been governed by possibly the most heinous, subhuman group of terrorists in the world. Every other nation on the planet is selfish and looks out for their own interests, something the United States never does, but that's how most nations operate. So, of course, nobody wants these people. Nobody wants them, which is why we always have to do everything, right? Because everyone else looks out for themselves except the United States until now. The Arab nations are going to be forced to take these people and finally contribute after never having done so in the past. Today, the president flexed hard on Jordan's king and the rest of the Arab world, which is trying to signal compassion for the Palestinians while also taking no responsibility for them whatsoever. Today, Trump played the king of Jordan perfectly. Listen to how he says this, probably the last thing that the king wanted to hear.
We have other countries that want to get involved. We have a lot of people that want to get involved. There's a great sense of wanting to help the Palestinians. There's a lot of good countries out there, people that rule those countries with big hearts, and this gentleman is at the top of the list.
He's telling them, oh, this guy right here really wants to help the Palestinians. And the king's sitting there going, what do you do in that moment? Talk about putting somebody on the spot. Trump bragging about how much the king of Jordan really wants to help. And if you were actually watching the king today in this press conference, you saw, I mean, he was wincing. Look at his face. Wincing as Trump pressured him to do something that he really doesn't want to do. His country had to absorb a lot of Syrians recently, and he claimed that it devastated his country. They don't want to take any more people. That's America's job. We're the big rich country. We're supposed to do everything right. When given a chance to speak, we saw the king deflect responsibility for the Palestinians onto Europe and also Egypt, which wants to rebuild Gaza. But of course, Egypt wants to leave the Palestinians right where they are during the process of rebuilding.
Mr. President, I think we have to keep in mind that there is a plan from Egypt and the Arab countries. We're being invited by Mohammed bin Salman to discussions in Riyadh. The president is looking at Egypt coming to present their plan. As I said, we will be in Saudi Arabia to discuss how we can work with the president and with the United States. So I think let's wait until the Egyptians can come and present it to the president and not get ahead of ourselves. The response will be from a multitude of countries, Arab, international. I know the Europeans want to step in.
How funny is it that the Arab world has been lambasting Israel for so long about the treatment of the Palestinians, and yet when it comes time to actually do something, nobody wants to help. Shows you how fake all their empathy really is for these people. Nobody wants them. Why would Israel want them? We send nearly $2 billion a year to the nation of Jordan. Did you know that? $2 billion a year America sends to this country. And that's a huge chunk of what they bring in, by the way. They're a small country with a small economy. And for the first time since that aid began, we are going to get something for that money. Trump is flexing America's vast power and influence for the first time in decades. What a weapon he has that nobody has ever used because they've been too scared. And this president is going to use it to force peace through common sense in the Middle East. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.